All right, so let's start with the big story that we are tracking on WION at this hour, where after months of lockdown to contain the spread of the coronavirus, many countries are now slowly moving towards the lifting of the lockdown restrictions in a bid to try and resort to normalcy. The people are discovering as to what a post-lockdown world could possibly look like. So let's get you a quick roundup of what the new normal looks like across different countries that are now gradually beginning to lift their lockdown restrictions. And let's start with Rome. The ancient Colosseum on Monday reopened its doors to the public for the very first time after nearly about 3 months. However, in order to maintain social distancing norms, the visitor inflow was minimized to just about 200 to perhaps 300 people per day. Now, the Roman amphitheatre is now adhering to very strict post-lockdown measures. Entry will be allowed only with prior online booking. Temperature of each individual will be checked at the entry point, and masks have been made mandatory. Meanwhile, in Moscow, many non-essential businesses have also resumed from Monday as the lockdown restrictions have been eased in the Russian capital as well. The car showrooms, repair shops and also dry cleaners have reopened in Moscow after months of closure. The shopping centers and parks, which were shut since March, have also reopened. However, children's playgrounds and sports facilities will remain shut until further notice. Now, the capital city remains one of the worst affected areas in the whole of Russia. Now, Moscow has reported more than 180,000 cases as of now. Meanwhile, Thailand is also easing its restrictions. Many worshippers dressed in traditional costumes returned to ancient temples in the Ayutthaya province. The groups of tourists flocked the Chai Vatana Ram temple in the ancient city of Ayutthaya on Monday after restrictions were lifted. Meanwhile, Thailand has also reopened cinema halls and even beaches after a significant decline in the COVID-19 cases. The country has reported as many as about 3,000 COVID-19 cases so far, with nearly about 50 linked fatalities. And meanwhile, schools and universities in the African nation of Cameroon have reopened despite a steady surge in the number of infections. The educational institutions have been shut for about 2 months in a bid to try and contain the spread of the virus. The Cameroon was one of the first nations in Africa to report COVID-19 cases. The government has been severely criticized for the weak measures that it has taken to curb the transmission of the deadly infections. The country remains one of the worst affected areas in the sub-Saharan part of Africa. The Cameroon has reported nearly about 6,000 COVID-19 cases with nearly about 200 linked fatalities.
On the